We are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Blake Rafino. This is Are You Serious Sports. We hope that you guys are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. Huge show in store for you tonight. Will Wade and the LSU basketball team gets absolutely hosed last night in Fayetteville at Bud Walton Arena. It was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. But nevertheless, LSU's men's basketball team gets absolutely hosed. It wasn't the complete reason why they lost. Will Wade's teams continued to be undisciplined. However, very disappointing loss coming down to some really Rudy Poo calls there at the end. We'll talk on that. We will touch on that. You got to be better down the stretch. You can't make two buckets with 4 minutes left to go in the game and expect to win. You can't make two buckets and expect within 4 minutes and expect to be the top 15 team. Not when it's tight, not when it's on the road. But we will talk about that because we have the Holy Trinity tonight, y'all. We have the Holy Trinity tonight, LSU football, baseball, and basketball. But just had to get it off my chest about how crappy and cruddy SEC officiating is. We will talk about that tonight in the Rafino's Rants. A lot of questions firing around LSU football. We will touch on LSU football. A lot of discussion continues on Jaden Daniels. Some people saying that LSU's not really in the mix there. Some people saying that he is. Nevertheless, I'm just going to give you my overall opinion again on Jaden Daniels and the LSU quarterback position. We'll talk a little bit more around football. LSU baseball goes to Houston this week, and the Shriners Classic, as Devin Staub alluded to in the chat, will be on MLB Network. Everything will be on MLB Network this weekend, which is massive for LSU to be able to be on that platform. So let's hope and let's talk about that, some preview of LSU baseball right around the corner. So we got a lot to get into. Who, Mike Jones? LSU linebacker Mike Jones joins us at 7:30. I think tonight is going to be extremely great conversation with our good friend Mike Jones. We're going to get to learn a little bit more about Mike Jones, the person, and Mike Jones, the football player, some of his past, some of the things that he's working towards, and how is the current LSU team doing gearing up for spring camp. We will touch on all of that. We will touch on every single bit of it. And yeah, we might get to some other things nationally, but we'll see. And as we do every Tuesdays and Thursdays, we go around, field all your questions, talk about all your questions, and hashtag Ask Blake. Just don't forget to just fire them inside the Rudy Crew chat, hashtag Ask Blake, and we will get to all of them. Okay, let's get to a couple comments before we get started. It is good to be back. We were off last night, which it feels like an eternity when we're gone, but it's good to be back. Skipper Tally says, everyone hit that like button. Absolutely everyone hit that like button. Everybody. Trey Mitchell says, Mwani Wilkinson's a liability to the team. Well, I'm not going to even really blame that last foul on him. I'm not going to blame that last foul that he had on him. Especially not the travel nor the hook and hold. Both of them, guys, both of them were BS. Both of them were BS. Let's call it what it is. I mean, it's not as if Mwani, but on the hook, I think the hook and hold was just as egregious as the walking call that they missed. I mean, so I'm going to tee off, and we're gonna talk about Greg Sankey tonight too. Spencer Trahan says, "What's going on, Blake and the AYS fan? What's going on to you, Spencer?" And Al Landry says, let's get this thing rolling. Let's get this thing rolling, y'all. Let's do that. Let's do that. And Pooh Bear says that the Rudy Poo of the century is the SEC officials, refs, umpires, and the front office. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Completely agree with that wholeheartedly. We'll talk about that right coming out of the break. We'll talk about that. You already know. So let's do this. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Everybody on Facebook, do us a favor right now. Hit the like button, hit the share button. Share to some social media groups, share to some social media pages, Share to your own pages. Ask all your friends to like us there. Are You Serious Sports Network. I'm really asking everyone, if you haven't done so already, everywhere you listen to podcasts, whether it be Apple, Spotify, wherever it may be, please go there at the end of the show and like and subscribe there. Please give us a rating. We would greatly, greatly appreciate you doing that. If you're listening to us on YouTube, everybody do us a favor by hitting the like button and hitting the share there as well. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification bell. We would greatly, greatly appreciate. So let's do this. Let's pay some bills, and then we'll get rolling. None better than our good friends over at GM Varno & Sons, betonline.ag. Guys with over 65 years of experience, nobody's better equipped to servicing your vehicle than GM Varno & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. Give them a call today at 225-664-9992. That's 225-664-9992. And tell them your good friend, Mr. Blake Rafino, over at AYS, sent you on by. And our good friends over at betonline.ag. Guys, NBA, Shriners Classic. Who's going to win this weekend at UFC? Was it 272? Colby Covington versus Masvidal. A lot of good fights there. You can bet on all of that at betonline.ag. If you haven't signed up, do so at the end of the show using the Believe promo code BLEAV. That's BLEAV, and you'll get 50% off your first welcome bonus. That's betonline.ag. Betonline.ag. All right, let's get this thing rolling. Y'all. Deion Black says we got some infiltrators in the chat. Who's the infiltrators? Blaine Smith says, going to see where LSU baseball stands this weekend after Houston. I agree with that. Jeremy Fontana says, I hope Money goes Saturday versus tomorrow night. Yeah, I would love to see him go against Texas. That would be pretty good showing for him. No matter what happens, he'll get the experience. I think it'd be a good, very good experience for him. Very, very good experience for him to do so. Jason on Facebook says, officiating last night was terrible, but Wade should have called a timeout and set up a play with 8 seconds left. So let's talk about that. And here's my Rafino's rants. Here's just my overall take. And this goes for LSU. This goes for just really all of sports. So if you're an LSU fan, hit that like button, hit the share to some Facebook groups, share to your own social media pages. We greatly appreciate it. But here's my take on it. Here's my thought on it. I am sick and tired of really bad calls happening. And look, I know that we're biased and we're fans and we feel as if that a lot of things only happen to LSU. Sometimes even to myself, it does feel that way, right? Like it really does feel that that LSU doesn't get any calls. It's not always the case. But here is my message to SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey, because this isn't just a basketball officiating thing. And I agree with my good friend Blaine Crane over from Crane & Company, and he said that blocking and charge calls in basketball is becoming just as bad as targeting calls in college football. I completely agree with him there. To Greg Sankey, what in the hell is going on here? You're going to have to fix this. This is beyond a bang call, an opinion call, could go either way type of call. The Tari Eason charge call, I forget who was on, maybe Williams in the block, or the blocking call. It was a horrendous call. Absolutely trash. We see bad things going on, not only in SEC basketball, but in SEC football games. Players getting away with a blatant hold. players getting away with certain things. And God forbid, I'm a former old lineman. I don't like calling guys that are holding defensive linemen. I would actually want to let that go a little bit more. But when it's so damn blatant, everybody feels like that they have the right opinion for SEC officiating, myself included. But that man gets paid a crap load of money. The SEC gets paid a crap load of money. This should not be an issue. When it's not a bang-bang call, when you have a walk and you blow the whistle and then you get all flustered, oh my God, I'm in Bud Walton Arena. But and you make the wrong call. I'm all for speeding up the game. I'm all for not wanting to replay everything. But when the game's on the damn line, go to the headset and be able to review it. The NOLA no call, be able to go to the headset and review it. I am absolutely tired and sick and enraged by shitty calls. Now, I've come on this show and critiqued Will Wade. And the officiating does not completely go on that game of why they lost. Not completely. But we'll get to that in a second. Greg Sankey, you got to figure it out, bud. You got to figure it out. You're able to figure out so many other things, but the one thing that changes the game so drastically in officiating. Make the officials open to the public so that we can question and ask them questions about why did you make that call in a certain situation that is so egregious. Maybe we can have some type of understanding. Something I'm not going to come up here and give you this what's need to be done, this what's need to be done, because we've constantly gone through that. And every time somebody says make them full-time employees and pay them this and do this type of training, they always come back, well, we do that anyway. No, the hell you don't. You don't make those guys full-time employees. They're not full-time employees. They should be doing this full year round. So only job they should be doing, pay them. You got the money. When you're paying schools $50+ million and there's 14 of them, hell, let me just throw this out there. Let's pull out the handy-dandy calculator. 50 times 14 is $700 million. And you know the SEC is getting a cut of a lot of this chunk of change of these TV deals. And you mean to tell me that you can pay a school 50-something plus million dollars, but your officiating is ass? It's so bad, y'all. It's so bad. It's not just for LSU. LSU got some calls last night, too. It's not the reason why they lost. It is not the reason why LSU lost last night. By the way, since I'm all flustered and fired up and pissed off and ready to go, for the last 5 weeks or 4 weeks, ever since Xavier Pinson went down, and I critiqued Will Wade, the only thing that I had heard was, Blake, you're wrong. Wait till Xavier Pinson comes back. Sounds good. You know what? I'll wait. Not going to say anything. I'll wait. This isn't a shot at Xavier Pinson. It's more of a shot at Will Wade for not getting across and articulating what needs to go on and what Xavier Penton's role really is. Here's Xavier Penton's stats over the last 5 games. Against Georgia, he was 3 for 10, 0 for 3 from 3. At South Carolina, he went 2 for 10, 0 from 1 for 3. Against Kentucky, even though he scored 26 points, he did go 12 of 13 from the line. He went 6 of 20, 6 for 20 from the field, 2 from 7 from the three-point line. Against Missouri, 2 of 6 from the field, 0 from 1 for 3. Arkansas last night, 5 of 21, 0 for 7 from 3. 18 out of 67 from the field, 26.8% shooting percentage, 4 for 28 from 3, 14.2% shooting percentage from 3. I'm not a stats and analytical dude. This isn't good. You have a layup there at the end of the game to win the game, and you draw up. What you don't do is you don't call a timeout in a very hostile environment, in a very hostile crowd, to settle your guys down. I don't care that you're not good coming out the inbound, because we got the interns to run how many times LSU scored off inbounds and calling timeouts. LSU did it twice. The 2 buckets that they had in the last 4 minutes, one of them coming off the timeout. The other one was Wilkinson in the corner to shoot for 3. That's wide open. But by the way, he's your best 3-point shooter from a percentage standpoint. Will Wade is not good this year at making in-game adjustments. Bottom line, this team is undisciplined, like their head coach is undisciplined at times. I would bet that Will Wade, for SEC head coaches, has been hit with the tech more than anybody else and been warned more than anybody else. Sometimes you have to show reserve and be calm. With all due respect, and I mean this with all due respect, I get that Will Wade's a younger coach. It keeps happening. 8 from 17 from the AP Top 25. But, Blake, these stats are analytical. You can't just pull out one step. It's my platform. I can do whatever the hell I want to, first off. Second off, it's not just an arbitrary stat. This team is extremely talented. They got talent all across the place, all over the place. They're not disciplined. The ticky-tack fouls that they commit shows how undisciplined they are. I get SEC officiating's one thing. This team's undisciplined and undisciplined nature is something completely else. Let me tell you something else we're monitoring. There have been rumors about Will Wade, this rumor, that rumor, the other rumor. Quite honestly, at some point, he's going to have to start answering the tough questions. At some point, we're going to have to start asking him. Well, Blake, what the thing that keeps happening over the last 3 years, Blake, what about next year? 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 Guys, in the age of the transfer portal and Kim Mulkey doing what she's doing, I really, really, really don't like having the discussion more and more and more and more and more. Next year, next year, next year. I don't want Will Wade fired. Don't get that shit twisted. Don't get it twisted. But the SEC officials did not lose you the game last night. You did. Brand says he's got 2 techs all year. He's gotten 3 or 4. The intern said that they found 3. They found 2 in conference and 1 out of conference. Brandon, it doesn't matter. He gets more techs than any other coach in the conference. At some point, he's got to understand that he has a target on his back. If Will Wade has a target on his back, he's got to understand that. When he throws a hissy fit on the sidelines and gets teed up and gets warnings, his teams won't get calls. The reason he's got a target on his back is based off of his actions and what he did. I don't want the excuses anymore. I'm tired of the excuses. You can go get those excuses somewhere else. And Brandon knows this isn't to him. I'm tired of the excuses. If we can't come out here and critique a loss when you shouldn't have lost, I don't want to hear it anymore. Blake's throwing a hissy fit like Will Wade. So what? Brandon, he got warned twice. Why does it come up now? The reason it comes up now is because when you're in crunch time and they've been getting on your ass all day long and then you have a walk and they don't call it, what do you think? Do you think Will Wade's going to get the 50-50 call? Why do you think Saban gets the 50-50 call? He gets on their ass, sure. But boy, does he grease them up before and after the game. Watch Nick Saban in a pregame. He greases them paws. He greases them like a stone chick, like a stone hog. Really tired of these. I'm not even going to give them the platform. Father Abear says, serious question: why can't penalties or non-calls not able to be reviewed, as it shouldn't be on-field officials reviewing those? It should be someone at the headquarters. I agree with that. I agree with that. I don't know. Brandon says, you absolutely do not call a timeout at the end of the game. That was the correct call by Wade, bottom line. Brandon, then why do you keep losing in those scenarios? You have a very hostile environment. Xavier Pinson, with all due respect, is not shooting 30%. Your best player, your best offensive player is not on the court. If you want Xavier Pinson to drive and try to get you the bucket, sounds good. He's shooting 26% over the last 5 games, and you want me to say, oh, well, let's give it to Zay. Let's give it to X. To me, it's not the right call. Kenny says, and how many College World Series titles does Arkansas have? We have 6 and counting. I don't know. Okay. I just got sent this from Nookie. So we have some news. We'll probably talk about this after Mike Jones comes on. Let me read this. This is from Andrea Gallo at The Advocate. So Nookie said, check my DMs. So she says, lots of updates this evening in the Sharon Lewis, Frank Wilson situation. Lewis has admitted her federal lawsuit against LSU to say that Frank Wilson in 2013 pulled out something and asked her to touch it. So we do have some breaking news. There you go. Also says he kissed another employee without consent. Look, I know that this was a I did not want to bring this topic up today because I wanted to get more information on it. If you don't know who Sharon Lewis is the ex-LSU employee who sued LSU for, what was it, $50 million. Who you think you kidnapped, Chelsea Clinton? I want 20 million in 20s, 20 million in 20s, 10 million in 10s, 10 million 10s. You want any fives with that? Y'all name that movie. Funny how it's amended when Frank Wilson's back at LSU. 100 million. Yeah, Nookie. Before I talk about the Sharon Lewis thing, I want to I want to get more information. The only thing that it looks like is shared is it looks like LSU makes a statement saying that we are unaware of any prior allegations against Frank Wilson, and there is no evidence that any such allegations were ever reported to LSU officials. Further, none of these allegations were shared during the highly visible independent Title IX review that LSU initiated last year. There you go. There you go. It's going to be a fun time though with Mike Jones. Who Mike Jones? It will be a fun time. Let me text him because I forgot to text. I forgot to text him back and say where we sent the link to him. Look, I'm gonna be careful about this Sharon Lewis stuff. Now we've talked about the Sharon Lewis stuff in LSU before, and I'm only going to speak for myself. I was very open in what I said. We even played the sound piece, but here's what we know about the Sharon Lewis case so far. Look, let's do this. Let's wait until Mike gets here. Let's do the Mike Jones interview, and then we'll talk about that after. Let's not talk about that now and then bring him in. Let's wait. We'll talk about that in a minute. But look, and we'll talk some LSU football with him too. LSU baseball Shriners Classic too. We got to get to that. I know that there is a lot of intrigue for this weekend. A lot of intrigue for this weekend with the Shriners Classic. Glad it's going to be moved to MLB Network. Glad that LSU is going to be able to go and test themselves. I just want to see them win two of the 3 games. Now, one thing that is concerning to me, like highly concerning to me for LSU baseball, is not hitting. I think they're pitching pretty well for right now. Guys, they're fielding, Jordan Thompson included, and not just him, has been very bad. LSU is first, per Big McDonald last night, first in the SEC in errors, number 3 in the country in errors with 14. That is not good. That is not championship baseball. Guys, that's not 4th in the SEC West baseball. You keep doing that, which I don't think that they will. 5 of those 14 coming against Louisiana Tech. They're going to have to clean that up. I would assume that Jay Johnson is going to and want to clean that up very quickly. With that being said, however, if they don't get it cleaned up quickly, it's like this weekend, it could be a long weekend. It could be a very, very, very long weekend. Look, you're going to get up against Texas, and we talk about a lot of things with Texas, especially in football. Baseball, you can't make those jokes. You can't make those jokes baseball-wise with Texas. In the eyes of the Ranger are upon you. When you're in Texas, you will see. When you're in Texas, they will find you. Because that's where Ranger's gonna be. Do y'all love my singing? I mean, name a better duo than Walker and Trevette from Walker Texas Ranger. There isn't one. And they would solve cases like unrealistically. Like Chuck Norris would find a shred of grass from the crime scene on the bottom of this guy's shoe when he was trying to roundhouse kick him, and then convict the man of murder. Arrest the man for murder because he saw a leaf that was on the bottom of a shoe. Trevette, get the evidence. All right. Let's get to Mike Jones. Who? Bro, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to scream who so mother bleeping loud this season. All right. Let's get to Mike Jones. Let's get to a very quick break, and then we'll bring him in here. None better than our good friends, and who is sponsoring this segment with Mike Jones Jr., our good friends over at the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Guys, is the insurance company giving you the runaround after Hurricane Ida? Do you need a free consultation? DUIs, checkpoints, real estate, titles, everything and anything and everything you need really can be done at the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com, 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600. Tell them that you heard of them from AYS, and they will give you that free consultation as well. That's Drake Williams Law Firm, the DrakeWilliamsLawFirm.com. All right, we got a good friend, Mike Jones Jr. in the building. Mike, what's happening, bro?
Nothing much, man. What's good?
Man, it's been a long week. Me and my wife and my son, we went to the beach. You know, I look, Mike, you know, I'm Italian. And so we think, you know, I can go out there. I ain't going to get sunburned. Shit. 70 degrees and my ass got sunburned, man. But we're just good. How has your week been?
My week was great. Experienced my first Mardi Gras, you know.
Okay.
I had never done nothing. I'd never seen the parades. Only time I'd been to Bourbon is after playoff game losses. And so I got to be there happy one time for the first time. So, yeah, it's been a good week.
Okay. Mike, you can't let that experience that you've had in New Orleans twice be the only experience. Glad you got to experience it. What was your favorite? What was your favorite new experience about Mardi Gras? Was there anything you expected that maybe you had heard about and you were like, maybe it lived up to this hype, or maybe something that you weren't expecting?
I didn't know how many people came out to the parades. And I don't even know which one I went to. I just had some of my teammates tell me to come here.
I feel the same
So
way.
I had no idea. But I went out there and I was like, this is insane. And it was like going down the whole road, these gigantic floats. I was like, I'm glad. I literally glad I went just so I could see that, because I'll never forget that. That was crazy.
Well, Mike, I told everybody in AYS tonight that we'll be learning a little bit more about you personally. I think that it's a good segue to learn more about you. Now, something that was interesting when we were talking, and Mike, I'm not going to lie, I had to go and look it up. Mike, you used to be a quarterback in high school, I hear, huh?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, so take us through that. What kind of quarterback was Mike Jones? When you said down, said what was Mike Jones like?
So, I mean, it kind of came in two parts. I only got to play my freshman and sophomore year before I went to IMG my junior year. My first year, I was scared. I was scared to throw the ball. You know, I had the little freshman syndrome, but I was faster than a lot of people. This is small football in Tennessee, so I was pretty fast. And so, my freshman year, if I had to be Lamar, I would try to be Lamar.
Okay. Did you hit him with the? Did you ever see the Lamar Jackson when he was in high school and he was running to the end zone? And he just stopped and he kind of like just walked in like this. Did you ever hit anybody with one of those?
I never had that much swag.
Bro, like him stopping on a dime like that's insane. So if we were to create a player in Madden and using you, the real life Mike Jones, are you a pocket passer, scrambler, gunslinger? Who is Mike Jones really? Are you that gunslinger mentality type of QB?
Now, see, I'm the gunslinger mentality with the runner body and attributes. You know what I'm saying? I can't really throw it, but I'm going to throw it.
Mike, let me ask you this, because I think it's a little unique. And now being a little serious, but being unique. Look, then you said you went to IMG, and I'm assuming you transitioned to the defensive side of the ball. What's that like, though? Because I feel like when you go through that experience, right, when you go through the experience of being a quarterback on the offensive side, it makes you better defensively. Is there anything in your days playing that position that you remember and it's able to help you on the field defensively at your current position?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the biggest thing is, like, now, so much of the game is played with their eyes, and I never realized quarterbacks really just look and throw where they're looking at. Some of them look you off, the more experienced, better guys, but to some extent, they're going to be playing with their eyes. And so as a defender now, if I know, all right, he's going to be looking here, I can show him what I want him to see. So that whenever he sees it, I can put myself in a position to make a play, and I didn't know that. But then as I changed over to defense, I'm like, oh, this quarterback's looking right at me. Like, did I used to do that? Yeah, I would look right at the dude and then throw the ball.
Well, it probably, Mike, is why, too, you see, like, the Pat Mahomes no look and the Matt Stafford no look in the Super Bowl that much just crazier when you see stuff like that. And then hitting what's even more crazy to me, Mike, is not that he's doing a no look pass, it's that he's hitting him in the chest. Right?
In the
Like,
chest, man.
man,
It's not fair. That's not fair. Nussmeier be doing that in practice sometimes, and it literally pisses me off so bad.
who does that in practice?
Garrett Nussmeier.
Oh, okay. Well, see, that's that gunslinger, right? Like he does that kind of stuff. Mike, I know you'd be doing that too, huh? You'd be like, "Hey, Tony," and then you would throw it to the right. That was you in practice. Don't lie.
I would throw it right to the defender. That's who I would throw it to.
All right. So what's interesting, Mike, too, is that you would in making that transition, you haven't been playing your current position for a long time, not just even on the inside, but defensive really. And you've kind of progressed pretty quickly from that position. What do you think has helped you the most? I know playing quarterback, but is there something that's helped you the most in transitioning to the defensive side of the ball?
Man, I would say over the years, I've just accumulated so much knowledge, coming from now three different defensive coordinators. You know, when it comes to like scheme in my mind now, it's all concepts. Cover three is cover three. We might roll it this way and call it this, but this dude is doing the same thing. They just call it a different way. And so being able to like tap into your coordinator's mind and learn the language that helps you get prepared for games at such another level. It's hard when you have questions and playing defense at this level. I mean, you can't be super basic and expect to win. You know what I'm saying? You got to have a multiple calls, multiple things you can go into a game saying, all right, if we need to run this, we need to be able to run it, run it and execute. And so I would just say, man, just being able to get an overall knowledge of just the game in general, at least on the defensive side, like I hear things all the time and I'm like, oh, we called that this at Clemson. Oh, this is what we did last year. It's just a different name. Like that's like just made me mature in the way I think of the game and the way I approach installs, going into practice and things like that.
I think the biggest word you just said there was experience, or two words, experience and being more mature. I mean, Mike, you ever just sit back sometimes and think about like, I remember like when I was a kid, I'm like, bro, why did I do that? Something just stupid that I did. And now that I look back on it, and even like it seems as if, Mike, what you're saying is like now you're there, and that's going to help you even moving forward. So, and one more question, I want to talk to you a little bit about the season too. But even looking into that, is there's one thing, or well, not even really one thing, but is there something that you in that transition? Because look, you've been around Matt House, Brent Venables, Durante Jones, and now getting that scheme down. It's all pretty much the same thing. Is it just picking up the lingo at this point for you? Because knowing what you have to do, it's all really the same. Is it just a lingo type of thing that you have to pick up now?
Yeah, personally, I would say it's more the lingo, and there always are little minor details that guys do different, but
Right, right.
like you said, they're all the same, and they just might call it red, and this person called it blue, and this dude called it bark.
Right.
So, yeah, just the lingo, man.
Mike, we're getting close to spring, and before you know it, fall camp's going to be here, season's going to be here. What are you looking forward to the most? Are there any games that you're looking forward to the most? I mean, look, playing Florida State, a team that you've played in the ACC. Now you get them in week one, and you talked about New Orleans down in the Dome. What are some games that you're looking forward to this season?
I'm definitely looking forward to that one down in New Orleans. Unfortunately, I never won a game there. Very fortunate for LSU, but
Neither have I. I played it 4 times. We on the same boat, brother.
Yeah, so those games there has never went good for me. So it'd be great to get a win down there. And personally, man, I I can't wait for the Bama game. And of course I'm excited for the whole schedule. I'm excited to play every week. But Personally, just me personally, like, it is different. You know what I'm saying? I want to win that game so bad. And I know it's going to be turned two now. It'll be at LSU. And I know they're bringing back all their guys on defense. So, hopefully guys can stay healthy and we'll be able to both pull out our best, for that week and we can go at it. But the Bama game this past year, I was like, wow, I was just like low key like one of the funniest games I've had. And I done played national championships, won national championship, won multiple conference championships. I'll
Caught an
probably never
interception
forget
in a
that game.
playoff game.
You know what I'm saying? Picked off Justin Fields, and I'm like, dude, like this freaking nail biter at Bama on the road might be my favorite college game. And even though it didn't even turn out the way I wanted, I was like, it was like just so just crazy the whole time. I was like, oh my gosh, this is nuts. But
Dive into that. Why was it your funnest game that you've ever played? I mean, look, like you said, you intercepted the number 2 overall pick in the NFL a couple seasons ago, and this was your funnest game, right? So why was it?
Man, I mean, there's different aspects of it. One, just for the defense as a whole to play at that level, on that stage, it was like kind of like a proud moment. Like finally, we finally getting together, and just being there with my guys too, Micah and Damone. I know how hard them guys at work, man, and being able to be on the field because that's when we kind of changed up the scheme. You know what I'm saying? I'm like we all going at it all game. It's like, dang, this is a freaking dog fight. And I don't know if I've ever had one of those, like, to that extent. Everybody is literally giving they all on both sides of the ball. And like the encouragement on our side, man, like it was just like a true battle. And a lot I've played in other games that were battles, but I don't know why that one it kind of felt like it meant more. At least to me.
It is the SEC logo. It just means more. Mike, I do gotta tell you something that I'm looking forward to. Now, this isn't a game that a lot of people outside of Louisiana are circling. I'm ready for the Southern game. I'm ready for the human jukebox to come to Death Valley. Start playing some Bruno Mars. I'm gonna be sitting up in the corner. That's gonna be me. But let me ask you this: when a band is really hitting, like I don't know if it's just me, but dude, I'll be dancing out on the field. I'm kind of like just trying to do do something. You get hyped though when the band starts beating. Like, what you gonna do if they start playing a really crunk song and it's loud and the whole stadium's just buzzing? Because I have a feeling it's gonna be doing that.
See, me personally, I'll always I might do a little something, but on the field, I'd be screaming. Like whenever I'm laying, I'm like, I just scream. I literally just scream. I might not even say any words, but I've always been just a screamer, So I'm sure I'll be out there yelling some nonsense.
Oh, dude, we need to get you mic'd up. I want to hear what you say. We do have some questions fired in here. Pooh Bear on YouTube says #Ask Mike Jones. What are some personal goals that you have for the season? I know we touched on that a little bit, but what are some personal goals that you're looking forward to and you're wanting to accomplish?
Well, yeah, personally, man, I say by the end of this, I'd like to look back and say, every week I played my best football. I feel like that's something that, every year I've made dramatic steps, but I've always felt like there's another level that I could reach, and I feel like I haven't really maxed out on my potential yet. So personally, I want to look back and say, you did it this year. You put yourself in a position to achieve whatever it is I want to achieve at the ball. And then, even though it's not necessarily a personal goal, I love to win. I'd like to win the SEC East or West. My bad. I'm still new here. I'm kind of new here.
You're good. Hey, as long as you're not Carson Wentz and don't know who anybody is in your whole conference, we're okay.
Yeah.
Like my dude didn't even know that the Titans were in Tennessee. He goes, Buffalo? Anyway, you're not that bad. He did it, bro. Go look it up. He goes, I think they're in Buffalo, right? Horrible.
Nah, that's bad. He been taking some hits. That's what that sounds like.
My man, come up, my man. Get that shake pack. Come on, bro. And don't forget, we went on vacation. We're still going to go get that Blue Store chicken. We got some people in here asking. We're going to do that. Mike Jones, current LSU linebacker, joining us. Mike, a couple more questions. We'll get you out of here. Somebody asked, have you officially put Boosie on your playlist to listen to before the game now that you've been in Louisiana?
Man, I have set it off in my playlist since like high school. I gotta get my mind right. Like every time I played in one of our playoff games down here, I made sure to listen to it.
Oh,
Like
right.
I might not be getting all these snaps today against LSU, but I'm gonna set it off on special teams.
Yes, indeed. You ever this happened to me one time. We were sitting in the hotel about to leave, and like Set It Off came on. And I'm thinking I'm just kind of singing to myself. I'm not really that loud. I'm just getting focused. And one of my roommate starts filming me, and we're about to get on the bus. And I'm like, set it off in this month, and I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm just being calm, cool, and collected. And my O-line coach walks up to me, he's like, Blake, you got to calm down. I'm like, I felt like I was calm,
Yeah.
But either way.
Man.
Mike, you talked last week about the team unity. You talked about your personal goals, and really your personal goals kind of fit along with being a team and the unity around the team. Brian Kelly talked about that this week, and not really going in that specifically with you, but he kind of mentioned the same exact thing that you mentioned a week before. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that about how, because last year was a little bit different, but you said and he said, and a lot of people have talked about just how close this team's coming together. Can you, as a player, can you take us there about how the team
absolutely. Absolutely. And so to me, I think the major growth between how we have come together has all been, kind of dictated off their emphasis on accountability. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like whenever you with a whole team and then, and I'm not saying like things weren't like we weren't accountable, but when you don't pay attention and you don't highlight the things that, might be getting overlooked, it's hard for somebody to say, I'm not going to do this today. Like it's all good. But we literally look at like everything. We got our accountability teams. We know who's winning, who's losing, what points people are losing, And so, like me, on my team, we got a group message. I might take my team, hey, make sure you all do out your like wellness review. Somebody else texts, hey, make sure y'all take y'all vitamins. Make sure y'all checking in for dinner. Everybody's checking up on each other because one, we want to compete, we want to win, but there's nothing being overlooked there. You know what I'm saying? We all rely on each other to, try to win our team competition every week. And I've seen personally how that's just, even made us so much, closer as a team. I've gotten to know guys who I've been on the team with for a year, but didn't even really know their name, knew nothing about them. And now I talk to these dudes almost every day. And so, and I didn't think that was something that would really tie into accountability, but it's truly like we all really need each other, and so it's pulled us together.
You've been on some very good teams, and you just mentioned something about having that before, and now you're doing it again, and now you're being a part of the leader. Now you're an upperclassman. Mike, do you have that same feel? Because it feels to me from what you're talking about, and look, all the great teams have it. It's that one thing in unity. Do you feel like that's something that you've gained, that this team's gained this year, or maybe even Mike over the last 7 weeks? Has that been the biggest thing that's happened over the last 7 weeks? Is how much closer the team's gotten?
Personally, for myself, I would say yes, because I know myself, like, I really stay at home. When I gotta go to work, I gotta go to work. When I gotta go to school, I go to school. When I gotta watch film, I gotta watch film, and that's kind of always how I've been, throughout since I've gotten to college. But, now, like, for myself, I'm interacting with more of my teammates than I have probably since I've been in school, and we've always had a really close-knit group here, and a whole bunch of joking around and laughing in the locker room all the time, constantly. But I can say for myself, I believe so. At least in my personal experiences, this is the most involved I've ever felt with the team since I've been in school.
I love it, man. Look, you're becoming the fan favorite here, bro. I mean, they love you. I mean, they absolutely love you, and I love it. Look, we're gonna go get that Blue Store chicken. So we went to. Let me tell you something very quickly. We went to the beach this week, and I kept thinking about Blue Store chicken. Publix, Publix of all places is giving the Blue Store a little bit of the run of their money. Mike, we're gonna have to go in there and tell Miss Anita she's better pick it up because this is bullshit right here, Mike. Just let it be known, but we're gonna go experience. Mike, one last question, we'll get you out of here. Anything you're watching, monitoring sports wise? Anything else that you want to talk about, or you're just observing? I know that in Major League Baseball, the strike and how crazy that's been. Is there anything though that you're focusing on that you've seen that you've been thinking about over the last couple of days or last week?
Yeah, man, the combine is starting, and I have a lot of friends, a lot of former teammates, a lot of guys I've played against. One thing I'm really excited to see, I'm ready to watch Damone Clark run.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the only people, other than Isaiah Simmons, of course. He was faster than me by a lot. But but Damone is one of the only true linebackers. I'm like, yo, he moving with me. What in the world? Usually I feel like I always just outran everybody. But yeah, Damone kind of had me shook a little bit. So I think he's gonna run crazy fast. Don't be surprised if he runs something ridiculous.
I lied. This is the last one. Damone made a big leap from 2 seasons ago, technically now, to last season. Was there something that you saw in Damone off the field? Obviously, we all saw it on the field, so we have a good gauge on it. What did you see off the field that made him take that leap forward? Because look, Damone, I mean, quite honestly, Mike could have played himself into a late first-round pick. Is there something that you saw there that you might implement? Because LSU's had a lot of great linebackers, Devin White, Quan Alexander. I mean, the list goes on and on. But is there something that you saw that Patrick Queen? God forbid, I can't say I got to say Patrick Queen because Livonia is going to come after me if I don't. But is there something that you saw that you'll implement for yourself this season?
Man, and I don't know Damone outside of since I got here, right before fall camp. But comparing them to the guys I've seen, and we had a lot of really great linebackers at Clemson. Man, just being constantly locked in all the time, it can be hard. It can be hard. It's easy to get tired at the end of the year. And regardless what was happening within our season, this man Damone stayed continually going up all year, on all aspects of the game, mentally, physically. I never seen him get tired. Like I remember we were in the Bama game, and I forgot what drive it was, but I'm over there dying. I'm like, oh my Lord, I know we all tired. And I look at Damone, I'm like, how you not dead? So, but yeah, man, everything he did, man, I feel like he did it at such a high level.
Mm-hmm.
And to just stay completely locked in like that, man, has been something I've seen the best of the best, well, the best of the best I've been around do. And, he fully embodied, that truly locked in, all in mindset.
That's what makes him elite, man. And look, he's 240 pounds. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah.
He's 240 pounds doing that, Mike, which is wild. Brandon Hollingsworth says, Blake, tell Mike if he enjoyed NOLA Mardi Gras to make sure he goes to BR St. Patty's Day Parade. Absolutely, Mike. We'll have to go to that one. It gets pretty live up in there. Mike, dude, look, man, you're becoming a fan favorite. A lot of people are love and watch or love to listen to you and everything and you being a part of the program and everything that you're doing. Guys, you can follow him on Twitter @_MJones24. We'll have him back against next week. Mike, we might go get some not some funeral chicken. That's Publix chicken. We might go get some Blue chicken for lunch, but that's nevertheless. Mike, have a good night, my friend. We'll talk soon.
Oh, yeah, man. Appreciate it.
That's our good friend Mike Jones, current LSU linebacker. Dude's just so amazing, man. I mean, every time Every time you talk to him, you listen to him, he's so easy to be around. I think that he said some very key things there too. Very key things in reference to how the team's coming together, unity, something that Brian Kelly touched on, and now that you have a current player talking about that as well, something very, very interesting to monitor as this spring, fall, summer, and fall comes right around. We'll finish out the show, but let's do this very quickly. Got to talk about our good friends over at NordVPN. NordVPN. Guys, NordVPN, since we switched, gives me such a peace of mind for our streaming service. Best encryptions, best codes, biggest servers. You can do it not just for your desktop or your laptop, multiple laptops at your home. If you do have multiple, gives you that security and peace of mind. Use the Believe promo code BLEAV. That way that they know that your good friend Blake Rafino at AYS sent you on by. And our good friend Carol Foss over at State Farm, 985-395-4300. 985-395-4300 for all the great rates in the state of Louisiana on auto, homes, and life insurances. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And our good friend John Patton over at GMFS Mortgage, GMFSmortgage.com, 225-614-1234. That's 225-614-1234. Guys, I got to tell you, me and my wife, Megan, went to John, got our purchase, refinance, all of it. He was so fantastic, walked us through every single step. I got to thank our good friend John. Personal experience with him. And look, the worst thing that can happen is he could tell you he can't give you a better rate. Might not be the case. There's no harm in giving him a call today. Again, 225-614-1234. Tell him Blake at AYS sent you on by. All right. Let's see here. Get to a couple of these comments. Brandon says, hashtag ask Mike, what's your favorite po' boy since being in Louisiana? I don't know if I'm sure he has. He's had to have had a po' boy. He's had to have had a po' boy. All right, I keep getting peppered via my DMs about the Sharon Lewis thing. Guys, I got to be honest, I'm not going to react to it just yet. I need and want to get more information on this. I need to get more information on this. I'm not going to run out here loosely on that. But it's something to monitor. If you missed it, Sharon Lewis is going to file something else on Frank Wilson, the current associate head coach at LSU, who was here in 2013. So let's just monitor that. I'll get some more stuff I'm sure we'll talk about on the Saturday show. But I just don't want to come out here spitting things that I can't speak on right now. Tyson Messer says, how doing, Blake? Who do you think our quarterback will be starting this year? Look, I said in the beginning of the show that I was going to talk about this and something that continues to be talked about around LSU. Now, there are some people that I trust that talk about Jane Daniels, the host of the Arizona State transfer quarterback, that there's not really a lot of LSU interest there. And this is just a plain opinion. And I said this the other night, go find the clipped show, go watch the show from the other night. I still think that you need to take a very good look at Jaden Daniels. I know that there's a blindness and affinity for Miles Brennan. You don't necessarily know what you have there. What happened 2 seasons ago should not and cannot give you the 100% certainty of what's going to happen now, right? Like, we're all there. But when I say that I would go after Jaden Daniels, I'm not saying that it's something that I'm hearing. It's a little bit maybe of the opposite. Some people saying this, some people saying that, which really means that not really anybody really knows. But as an opinion, I would still go after him. I think he's more dynamic and he'll give you more of – and look, it's not like he's going to be here for multiple years. And let him and Brennan battle it out. There's nothing wrong with Brennan having to battle it out. Nothing wrong with it. Jason says on Facebook that Mike said that Nussmeier's throwing no-look passes. Well, yeah. Let's just make sure we're perfecting the looking passes first. Jason also says Sharon Lewis is lying. If it was true, she would have reported it last year. Again, I've said my piece a lot on this already. And that was something that I did a lot of research on, talked to a lot of people about. What I'm not going to do is run out here again and say something that I can't speak on right now in reference to. I could give you my opinion. I think it's very questionable why she's doing it now. I do think that she's going to have to provide more evidence. I mean, look, we've talked about this. We've talked about this at length and at nauseum. Okay. And Sharon Lewis has been on a phone call with someone who's accusing Darius Geis of a situation, trying to extort LSU for money. Like, we have that audio. We've heard it. We've played it on these shows. Like, we don't have to. I mean, I played it for you. I played you the audio. Sharon Lewis not filing Ed Orgeron. There's the RICO lawsuit getting dropped out of court. She's going to have to provide a little bit more for me at the current moment, because everything that she said has not had the evidence in court that can be moved on. And there's no criminal case behind it, too. There's no police report per this. So, yeah. Pooh Bear says, by the way, Spaces tonight at 8:45. Okay. All right. You know I'll probably be in there. Wade McBride says, Brennan has not played in a long time. Is he mentally ready? I don't know that. And that's why I continue to say we have to look at a guy like Jayden Daniels when he hits the portal, and you have to kick the tires on that. You have to kick the tires on that. There's no questions whatsoever. I mean, come on. Come on. I mean, I'm not trying. I'm not, again, when we keep talking about this and you fire in the questions and I answer them, I get labeled a certain way. I'm not saying Brennan's a bad quarterback. And it really drives me nuts that people think and associate that I'm saying that. What's so funny to me is when you spit out a fact and the person that you tell the fact to does not like what you're saying, they will try then to reverse and label you as something that you're not technically doing, right? Like, then they will label you for being X, Y, or Z, but you're really not. Like, you're really, really, really not. So, like, one person who said that Miles Brennan will be in the Heisman race. I just said, look, man, I think he's going to have to start more than 3 games before we put him there. And he didn't even know that Miles Brennan didn't start 3 games and was arguing me up and down. Let's see. Stefan says, I need to see Brennan not have happy feet, pat the ball 15 times, and not be indecisive. Spencer says, Nurse Court, we going to be talking about Will Wade tonight. Good Lord. I know I freaked out in the opening part, but I'm tired of seeing it. Guys, I'm tired of seeing it. What do you want me to, why can't I talk about it? Why can't I critique it? Crazy. All right, guys, we will see y'all Saturday morning. We might be pushing the show a little bit back more because I've been getting a lot of requests about, Blake, it's too early in the morning. We'll push it back. All right, guys, thanks to Mike Jones. Thanks to all of you. I'm sure we'll see you in Twitter Spaces somewhere tonight. Until then, guys, peace out, Girl Scouts.